We have the founder and chief executive officer of Food Click Support Initiative, Bola Joko Fadigbe, in the studio. Good morning, Bola.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, and happy World Food Day to you.
Yeah, same to you
Nigerians
too.
like greeting themselves.
Oh yeah. Because when it comes to happy everything, Nigerians are naturally happy people. Happy weekend, happy Sunday, happy Saturday, happy new month, happy new
Christmas.
week, happy Christmas.
So today is Happy World Food Day.
Happy World Food Day. But the point is, Bola, let me ask you this fundamental question: is it possible to eradicate hunger?
To be honest with you, I believe it is possible to eradicate hunger, even though a lot of indices is working against world hunger, migration, food insecurity, war, climate change. But to be honest with you, it's just for us to come together, we energize ourselves that zero hunger is possible. That is why the theme for this year is our actions are our future. In a few years' time, we will have over 10 billion people who will be hungry. But the question is, now that we have an opportunity to work towards zero hunger, are we doing it? I still believe that we still don't talk about hunger. We always assume that, oh, famine, hunger crisis is just one other headline, struggling with the sports stories. So we assume that, oh, we are not hungry. People are not hungry. But till we start raising awareness about it, that is the essence of the World Food Day. And that is even why the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations said that every October 16, let's raise our voice, let's talk about hunger, let's
try to put a face to it.
Yes, a face to it, because there's no face to hunger. When they say people are hungry, we always assume it is that malam on the roadside, is that little bit on the roadside. But to be honest with you, 820 million people going hungry worldwide is too much.
Now let's bring it home, to Nigeria. Let's look at our own food situation here. You have some states under attack, and then it seems that things are not even going the way they're supposed to go, because many of those people that are farmers have been displaced from their homes, displaced from their farms, especially in the north central, case in point, Benue State especially. And putting this to mind now, this day, how is Nigeria getting threatened by the day, by hunger?
From what you even said while introducing the World Food Day is that Nigeria has the highest number of hungry people. Apart from climate change, there's crisis in the there's crisis in the northern part of Nigeria. Most of the food we eat comes from this side. But since there's crisis there, that has increased the number of hungry people. That is making zero hunger by 2030 difficult for us in Nigeria to achieve. Until we stop war in most of all these places, conflict is man-made. So if conflict is man-made, we believe since it was made by man, that is the assumption, we can also be the one to lead the fight against hunger. Agriculture needs to be encouraged. Places we have Boko Haram crisis, conflict, wars, we need to look into this place, because since there's crisis in this place, we down here, that means hunger would be on the increase. Yeah,
but when you say we have to do this, we have to ensure this. Who is the we in this bracket? Because I know that, excuse me,
no problem.
The government, on one hand, is doing so much, but in the eyes of people, the government is not doing enough. And then the people themselves, I wonder what role they have to play in all of this. So when you say we, can you decipher, can you break it down for us to understand the we?
The we includes the government, the public sectors, and the private sector.
Right.
As a private sector, you need to see hunger. Hunger needs to be included among your corporate social responsibilities. Government, they need to create policies. Policies can work in this country. For us to have zero hunger, for us to enjoy zero hunger by 2030, there needs to be policy in place. A few years ago, Senator Childor Orji from Abia State sponsored the Freedom from Hunger Bill, which was to make hunger a thing of the past in Nigeria. But since the bill was sponsored and passed into law, we've not heard anything about it again. As individuals, we need to waste less food. Despite the growing number of hungry people, we still waste so much. We don't respect those who produces this food, especially farmers. We don't give them respect. And also, we don't respect people who don't have food. We just walk by people who are hungry. We don't say anything about them. In our homes, we waste so much food. We don't do anything about that. But when we start thinking about the number of hungry people in the society, the number of hungry people in the community, then we can start looking towards achieving zero hunger by 2030. But we includes all of us. In 2030, if we don't achieve zero hunger, we should ask ourselves that when I had an opportunity, did I play my own part? The security of the country is not left in the hands of non-governmental organizations. So hunger is a major threat. It shouldn't be left in the hands of Food Click organization and other organizations fighting hunger.
Okay, now, what can the government do? Like Mike just said earlier, that the government is doing so much, so many policies put in place, so many credit aids given to many farmers across Nigeria. But then, what can you do now as a government or as a people when you have put everything in place to aid food production, but then you cannot control natural disaster like flood and all that? Of course, you understand what many farmers are going through at the moment in Nigeria with the flooding situation. So what can they do?
Yes, what the government can do is natural disaster are things we can't control. Agriculture, we need to support small-scale farming. Most of the farmers who produce some of this food we eat can't even eat them. They sell them in the city. So government needs to encourage agriculture. Policies has to be in place. We have to have good road network. When you look at the number of food we produce, even getting this food down to Lagos State or places they consume this food, they spend so much time on the road. And in this process, some of this food get wasted. So look, when you look at all these things, good road network, good transport system, and the commitment by government and individual. And we need to continue raising awareness about it. Because some people still don't believe the number of hungry people is 821. We assume it is just a statistics by the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations.
All right, now let's talk about the issue of smuggling food. Excuse me. We've heard reports about rice from Nigeria, maize from Nigeria, millet, and guinea corn from Nigeria, cereal generally being smuggled into neighboring countries of Cameroon, Chad, Niger, Benin Republic, and Togo, and so on. How do all of this threaten the food security within Nigeria?
Yes, the reason it's going to threaten the food security in Nigeria is that since most of all this food are leaving the country, there's war in the northern part of the country. There's flood in Borno and Maiduguri.
We won't put a war in that context. It's just it's crisis anyway.
Yes, security crisis. So when you look at all these things, and we have a higher number of food also leaving this country, we can't also blame some of these farmers. They need to make money. That is the essence of producing this food. So what the government needs to do, that you can't start telling them to strengthen the border of the country. What they just need to do is just to encourage farming, just to encourage these people. So by encouraging them, they won't see a reason of even smuggling this food out of the country. We need food in Nigeria, and you can't be taking food out of the country. But at the same time, we are all businessmen.
A situation where they want to earn foreign exchange.
Yes, that is why
because demand in the country will certainly provide monies, but demand outside the country will provide money, but in hard currency.
Exactly, the value is higher when you exchange it to your currency.
Yes, definitely it's higher. That's why government needs to come in place. That is why they need to support agriculture. If you support agriculture, people won't see a reason of them taking their produce out of the country to look for higher foreign exchange.
How was that? Because we need to really understand this. It just said something, and it seems to be the fact, because I recall about a year ago, earlier this year, when yam practically became very scarce in the southwest, especially in Lagos. And that was about the time the minister was talking about exporting yam. So I asked a yam seller, because the yam I wanted to buy was quite expensive. And I said, are you selling your yams as well? Are you taking your yams to the border to sell? She said, my sister, if I get someone that can take me there, I prefer selling to foreigners because I'll get more money. I don't care who wants to buy my yam within Nigeria. And that seems to be the case. And that was what Mike was talking about. But regardless of the support, regardless of the policy put in place by the government, if farmers now understand, because it seems they're now aware that there is money for them out there, outside the shores of the country, even if the government puts an enabling environment down, put everything in place for them, and these farmers still decide to sell to foreigners, there will still be food shortage within the country.
Yes, even there was a time tomato was also expensive, where people said if you want to buy tomato, you need to go. So it's still the problem. So when we look at it as individual, There's little or nothing we can do about that. You can't, just like the woman said, she wants to take her yam to a neighboring country to sell it. That is where the role of the government comes in. That's where the role of the government comes into place, until they start supporting most of all these small-scale farmers. Even those that want to produce food in their community, you support them. We talk about agriculture even in school. Most of all the farms have been converted. Even in secondary schools, most of all their farms have been converted into football pitch. Even some, while I was in secondary school, there was a day for agriculture where we go out to plant. But
I remember having a farm that time. Even in primary school, we had little farm. Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
and even when we talk about farming, we always assume it is those farmers alone. When you go to Makoko, fish farming is also being threatened because of climate change. Most of all these people are being displaced from where they fish. So it's not about food production only. Agriculture involves a lot of things. So government needs to come in place. We can't make policies. What we can just do, what charity organization can do is that we can come in as a social intervention that, okay, this is what we need to do. We can give this community food. We can introduce a food banking system whereby people can always get food to eat. But the bulk of it still lies in the hands of the government. This is World Food Day. I was talking to somebody and I said, today is World Food Day. What is your station doing about World Food Day? The first question the person asked me that, how much are you ready to pay? And this is a TV station who are meant to raise awareness about. That is why I must sincerely commend the effort of TVC last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. They've always been raising awareness about hunger. They've set the standard that when stations start talking about hunger, when people of important personalities start listening to what the hunger crisis, that is when we can confidently say by 2030 there will be zero hunger in the world.
All right, thank you for that commendation. Now, let me ask, do you feel that there is a disconnect between government and the people when it comes to policies on agriculture, when it comes to the projection and action plans to ensuring that there is adequate food? Do you think there's a disconnect?
It's in two ways. The reason why I would say there's a disconnection is that sometimes most of these policies are just written in the pages of a big book that even the government themselves don't even understand it. And when you now bring it down to the lower cadre of people, the farmers, individuals, they don't even understand the essence of this policy. When you talk about, just like the freedom from hunger bills that Senator Chiodo Hoji was sponsored, among the content of the bill then was that hunger has to be seen as a natural disaster, food security. There has to be a ministry that handles food security. The senior citizen, there has to be a place for the senior citizen, even in hospitals also, where people can, those suffering from hunger can always visit. But at the end of the day, when these policies are made, when it's even passed into law, people don't understand it. We don't even know our rights when it comes to food security, our right as individuals also. So we need to just keep educating people the importance of this bill. There has been a lot of bills that have been sponsored, that has been passed into law, but we don't even know about them.
Implementation challenge.
Definitely, implementation challenge is the problem.
Okay, now you talked about your group or groups like yours not being able to do much. You can only advocate, of course, being a private organization. And then you talked about food banking system. In what scenario would that occur that you'll be able to support? Is it during crisis, or is it a form of support to any kind of country? Please expatiate.
In developed countries in the world, like United States of America, South Africa, they have a food banking system. Despite their resources, despite their wealth. When you now look at a country like Nigeria, that we don't even see the importance of a food banking system. Just like a bank, a food bank is a place you keep food. When people need food, they can always go there. And in case of natural disaster, which is inevitable, flooding might happen in a particular place and you need to get food that costs to people. Where do you run to? Do you start getting food from individuals? But the essence of a food banking system is like a place whereby we can always get food.
Storage.
Yes, food storage.
Is it different from the silos we used to have?
Yes, it's not quite different from it, but they are more of the same. They are more of the same thing. So what a food banking system would just do is for you that when individuals can go there, you get registered what you need. From there, you can start sending food. You can start sending food to school. Food banking system is a thing we also need in this country. America has over 300 food banks.
Do we have any in Nigeria?
Yes, we have private-owned food banks. We have a food bank in India, which is also run by an individual. There's organization like Food Clicks, just like our own organization also. We are also like a food banking system because people do come to our office and we'll give them food. Though this food might not last them for a whole month, but at least there's a minimum number of days this food can last them for. And who are the people that can benefit from this food bank? The senior citizen, especially the senior citizen, the physically challenged, the veterans. The veterans, they've served our country, they've defended us during the time of war. It is now our own time to also defend them when they are hungry. But there's nothing in place for these people. So that's just like a social intervention. CSR needs to also be channeled towards hunger.
Corporate social responsibility.
Yes, needs to be channeled towards hunger, but most of them is not channeled towards hunger because we still don't see it as a problem.
All right, we are rounding off gradually because of the time, but let me ask, on a day like this, where since 1940s, I think,
1945,
45 exactly, that this day has been set aside. We commemorate this on 16th of October every year. How best do we commemorate a day like this? In the mind, in the picture, if I have to play it out somehow, it's like a day you eat very well and ensure that you eat good food. But that's on the light side. How best do we commemorate a day like this?
The best way to commemorate this day is, one, you raise awareness about the day, just like Christmas, that's other festive season. And also, there's this thing by Food and Agriculture Organization that if a particular number of people are hungry in a country or are hungry worldwide, if we all decide to feed one person that day, that means the number of hungry people would go down that day. So if every day can be World Food Day, the idea is that it's not going to be 16th of October only. Let every day be World Food Day. If every day is World Food Day, so that means very soon we'll have fewer number of hungry people. Yes, it is written in the Bible that the hungry would always be among us, but they don't need to be the same people.
And it seems to be a very simple strategy, really. If every person that can, afford to feed one person adopts a hungry person,
yes, definitely,
there won't be hunger anymore.
Yes, even that's why our own organization today, apart from the photo exhibition of some of the events we've done, would also be feeding people, which was also posted on the website of the Food and Agriculture Organization as one of their partners celebrating these days. So we just hope that every day can be World Food Day, and if every day is World Food Day, by 2030 we'd have zero hunger. Though a lot of indices is working against us, climate change, flood, but these are man-made.
Okay.
Natural disasters.
Right. Okay. Can someone like me, do I have the criteria to come and eat as well and get food?
Donate.
Oh, okay. Bolajuko Fadikbe,
yes.
the founder and CEO, Food Click Support Initiative. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
You're welcome.